In Ecuador, the candidates for the presidency, Luisa González and current President Daniel Noboa, are in the final stretch of the campaign in view of next Sunday's runoff vote. And European and Asian stock markets opened sharply lower on Monday, triggered by U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on trading partners. And the Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine calls for a global mobilization in rejection of Zionist genocide. Hello, welcome to From the South. I'm Luis Alberto Matos from the teleSUR studios in Caracas, Venezuela. We'll begin with the news. Stay with us. In Ecuador, the candidates for the presidency, Luisa González and current President Daniel Noboa, are in the final stretch of the campaign in view of next Sunday's runoff. As of this Monday until April 10th, the contenders will be concentrating on campaign events to tilt the balance of votes in their favor. Last Sunday, the candidate for Citizens Revolution, Luisa González, led a massive mobilization with proposals focused on the development of public works, national security, and defense of citizens' rights. The candidate made healthcare and free and quality education her main pledges. Meanwhile, President Daniel Noboa reiterated his intention to reform the constitution to modernize the state. In Argentina, workers at the Gaza Pediatric Hospital to protest against the government this Monday in rejection of the management of President Javier Milei and the Minister of the Health portfolio, Mario Lugones. In a statement issued by the workers of the Gaza Hospital, they indicate that organizations of scientists, independent trade unions, and the community will speak out in defense of public health. They accuse the national government and the Ministry of Health of destroying the public health system by liquidating jobs and abandoning users. In the same vein, they made an urgent call to the whole community to join the fight for public, free and quality healthcare for all, because in healthcare there is no one to spare. And in Brazil, thousands of supporters of former President Jair Bolsonaro took part in a rally demanding amnesty for those convicted in the attempted coup d'etat of January 8, 2023. Right-wing demonstrators gathered in one of the main avenues of Sao Paulo wearing Brazilian national T-shirts, while some waved flags of the United States and Israel. This was the second march organized by former President Bolsonaro, who is currently charged in the federal Supreme Court for his involvement in the coup attempt against current President Luis Inácio Lula Silva after the 2022 elections. Bolsonaro used the platform to declare that his disqualification to run for the next elections in 2026 represents an alleged denial of democracy. And in Colombia, Congress for Peace was held, convened by more than 150 social organizations that support the search for a political solution and the construction of a stable peace. The event, which included a peace delegation from the government in dialogues with the National Liberation Army, reaffirmed the urgency of overcoming structural violence through agreements. Participants emphasized that the state should guarantee protection and peace in the territories. The Congress emphasized the need for concrete actions to convene a National Constituent Assembly that reflects the demands of the people and stop the bombings that affect civilians. And in the Dominican Republic, President Luis Abinader ordered a series of anti-immigration measures, such as increasing the number of troops on the border with Haiti and the construction of a new section of the wall between both countries. In a speech on the migratory issue, the president informed that the border surveillance will be guarded by 1,500 additional soldiers. Since his arrival to the presidency, Abinader has hardened his migratory policies towards Haiti with frequent raids and massive deportations, in spite of the calls of international organizations and agencies not to carry out refoulements to a country where in 2024 more than 5,600 people died as a result of violence. According to official figures, during the first quarter of 2025, 86,000 undocumented Haitians were expelled from the Dominican Republic.
That is why today I am announcing a set of 15 firm, clear measures, painful for some, but necessary to protect our country and guarantee the respect of our laws. Starting now, we will expand the supervisory capacity of the 3 current border brigades in 6 operational areas, each under the supervision of a senior officer. In addition, we will reinforce border surveillance with 1,500 additional soldiers who will join the 9,500 already deployed at the border.
Aceleraremos la construcción del muro fronterizo.
We will accelerate the construction of the border wall. The Minister of Defense has been instructed to immediately initiate the bidding process to build an additional 13 kilometers to the 54 kilometers of wall already built, thus strengthening our capacity to respond to any threat attempting to enter our country.
We now have our first break coming up. Stay with us, we're going to be right back. Remember to join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you find news in different formats, news updates. Welcome back. European stock markets opened sharply lower on Monday on fears of a full-blown trade war and a recession triggered by U.S. President Donald Trump's tariffs on trading partners. European markets extended their losses this Monday in a black day for stock markets worldwide. After the opening of the day, the Frankfurt Stock Exchange fell 10%, while the main indices in France, Belgium, Austria, Germany, Poland, the Netherlands, Switzerland, and Sweden fell around 6%. This comes after a general import tax of 10% came into force in the United States on Saturday, while on Wednesday levies on imports from some countries, such as members of the European Union and China, will increase. And in Asia, the stock market suffers a severe fall as a result of the tariff policy implemented by the United States government. The main stock market indexes in Asia began the session with drops of more than 5% as a result of the tariffs imposed by U.S. President Donald Trump. Japan's Nikkei index fell 5 points, 76% to 31,836 points, while South Korea's Kospi fell 4.8% to 2,355. The U.S. government has ruled out that the tariff could cause a generalized loss of economic activity. In general terms, stock markets around the world have reacted with sharp falls to the trade war initiated by the Trump administration. And precisely in this context, during a press briefing, Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman Lin Jian condemned the unilateralism of the recent U.S. tariffs.
The U.S. is seeking hegemony in the name of reciprocity, sacrificing the legitimate interests of all countries to serve selfish interests, prioritizing the U.S. over international rules. This is typical unilateralism, protectionism, and economic bullying.
And more than 50 countries seek to renegotiate tariffs with U.S. President Donald Trump. According to White House Chief Economic Advisor Kevin Hassett, the countries that have proposed initiating talks do so because they understand they will be subject to a significant portion of these tariffs.
And more than 50 countries have approached the administration about lowering their non-tariff trade barriers, lowering their tariffs, stopping currency manipulation, and they've been bad actors for a long time.
Also in the United States, a massive march is held to close Pride Festival in Miami Beach. Waving rainbow flags and marching alongside banners of love and inclusion, the Sunday Ocean Drive was filled with color as part of the annual Miami Beach Pride Parade, where race and gender do not matter. The parade was up a 12-day celebration that, in addition to its massive turnout, features a roster of allies from South Florida's LGBTIQ+ community. Participants in the parade celebrate the lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer collective while voicing concern over U.S. Trump administration's rescission of rights. Organizers have expressed that the next 4 years are going to be challenging for the community.
When, this is the first time in history where we're seeing a rescission of rights in the United States. All of our history has been about the expansion of rights. So it's really important to show that, no matter what you do, and you may rewrite the history books and everything, we're not going anywhere.
Well, we see that our president is trying to divide our country. I think it's important that we continue to come out and show support for everyone.
In the United States, extreme weather causes at least 18 deaths in the south and midwest of the country due to high temperatures, strong winds, and abundant humidity. According to reports, heavy rains and winds affected the extensive area from Texas to Ohio, causing power gas outages and the mobilization of residents to protect their homes and business. During the day, torrential rains continued to affect numerous states, among them Kentucky, Tennessee, and Alabama, while experts warn of tornadoes in Georgia and Florida. Of the 18 deaths, 10 lost their lives in Tennessee and at least 2 were minors, while a firefighter from Missouri lost his life while trying to rescue people trapped in the storm. Meanwhile, in Ecuador, 1 person died after being struck by lightning on Sunday. So far this year, there have been 34 fatalities as a result of heavy rains and storms that hit the country. This last death was recorded in the municipality of Guamote in the center of the country, where there was rain, strong winds, and electrical discharges. The Ecuadorian provinces that has been the most affected so far is Manabí, with more than 82,000 people affected and 7 deaths, followed by Guayas, with more than 27,000 affected and 3 deaths. In the last week, the storm has caused floods and landslides in several parts of the country, with close to 42,000 houses affected and 252 totally destroyed. In Bolivia, rains caused 55 deaths and affect 590,000 families. According to the Vice Minister of Civil Defense, Juan Carlos Calvimontes, there are 6,174 communities affected, and in total there are already 590,529 families affected. He said that the damages reached the 9 departments of the country, and to date, 2 of them have been declared in departmental emergency: La Paz and Santa Cruz. Referring to homes, Calvimontes estimated that 1,204 homes were completely destroyed. La Paz is the most affected department not only in terms of homes but also in terms of roads, which prevents the municipality from being connected. We now have our second and final break. Before we invite you to visit our Facebook page at teleSUR English, there you'll be able to watch our top stories, special live coverage, and much more. Follow our page and activate the notification button to stay up to date on world's most recent events. A final break, and we'll be right back. Welcome back. The Popular Front for the Liberation of Palestine called for a global mobilization and rejection of the Zionist genocide against Palestine. The organization made an urgent call to mobilize on Monday, April 7th, declared as Day of Generalized Anger and Civil Disobedience, in rejection of the Israeli genocide against the Palestinian people. Through a statement, the organization urged Palestinians in the West Bank territories occupied since 1948 and refugee camps to participate massively in protest. The organization called for the display of Palestinian symbols and the names of martyrs as living testimonies to the atrocities, while accusing Israel of using hunger as a weapon of war. Meanwhile, in Morocco, demonstrators took to the streets to protest against Israel's genocide in Gaza and U.S. support and to show solidarity with the Palestinian people. In one of the country's largest demonstrations in months, protesters trampled Israeli flags, held banners of slain Hamas leaders, and hoisted placards linking displaced Palestinians to U.S. President Donald Trump. The organizers denounced Israel's military campaign, which has killed more than 1,000 Palestinians and displaced hundreds of thousands since it broke a ceasefire last March with intense air and ground attacks. More than 50,000 Palestinians have been killed and more than 115,000 wounded since the genocide began.
Today, this march is an expression of solidarity. Although it may not seem like much, it is having a big impact on the young people and children of the Gaza Strip. It is an expression of solidarity on the part of the Moroccan people, who will not forget, and have never forgotten, the Gaza Strip.
This is a popular march that has come to declare its support for the truth and its rejection of normalization, which has led to deaths, martyrs, prisoners, and wounded. We also announce the continued support of the Moroccan people, men, women, and children, for the Palestinians and their resistance until liberation and victory, God willing.
And 2 journalists were killed and several others were wounded in an Israeli bombardment of a journalist tent in Han Yunis, southern Gaza. The Israeli army shelled early Monday morning a journalist tent near the Al Nasser medical compound in Han Yunis in the southern Gaza Strip, killing 2 journalists and seriously wounding several others. Meanwhile, according to local media, Israeli army artillery attacked the eastern areas of the Al Zaytun and Al Shuhaya neighborhoods in the city of Gaza at dawn on Monday. At the same time, Israeli army drones bombed the same areas. The renewed attacks come after the Israeli army killed more than 50 people and ordered residents of 5 neighborhoods to flee. And in Palestine, the resistance reported that military operations were carried out in response to the recent massacres against civilians perpetrated by the Israeli occupation forces in the Gaza Strip. The Palestinian military group reported that the operations were carried out in the occupied Ashdod, the area where Israeli weapons targeting the north of the coastal enclave were shot down. It should be noted that the authorities of the resistance expressed their condemnation of Israel's criminal actions against the country, emphasizing that they constitute a flagrant and shameless violation of all international agreements and international law. And in Yemen, U.S. strikes in northeast Sana'a left at least 4 people dead and 16 others wounded. The health ministry spokesman denounced the blatant aggression and bombing of civilian facilities and personnel as a war crime and a violation of international laws. According to Yemeni authorities, Washington's aggression included 2 airstrikes in the Shab al-Hafa area. In response, the country's armed forces targeted several U.S. warships in the northern Red Sea, including the USS Truman aircraft carrier, using cruise missiles and drones. And every April 7th, World Health Day is celebrated in commemoration of the creation of the World Health Organization to achieve equitable care and promote well-being in all regions of the world. This day is commemorated after the countries of the world come together in 1948 after the deadliest and most destructive war in human history to form the World Health Organization. The purpose of its creation was and continues to be to promote health, preserve the safety of the world, and save the vulnerable. In 2025, the theme chosen to commemorate the date is Healthy Beginnings, Hopeful Futures, and aims to intensify efforts to end preventable maternal and newborn death and to prioritize women's long-term health and well-being. And the World Health Organization launched a global campaign for maternal and child health. Entitled Healthy Beginnings, Hopeful Futures, the campaign will urge governments and the health community to intensify efforts to end preventable maternal and newborn death. Health agency data indicate that in 2020, in the Latin American and Caribbean region alone, there was 1 maternal death every hour. Most maternal deaths occur during or shortly after childbirth, making this a crucial moment for saving many lives. That is why World Health Organization experts emphasize that women and families, wherever they are, need high-quality care that supports them physically and emotionally before, during, and after childbirth. Like this, we have come to the end of this news brief. You can find these and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net. So join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram, and TikTok. For TeleSUR English, I'm Luis Alberto Matos. Thanks for watching.